She couldn't walk, not since the accident that stole everything in a single night. And the doctors, some of them billionaires, in white coats with glass offices and walls lined with awards, had all said the same thing in different words. There's nothing more we can do. Little Lily sat in her worn-out wheelchair by the window of their tiny apartment, watching other children run below, her small hands gripping the metal armrests as if holding herself together, while her single father, Daniel, pretended not to notice the way her smile faded every time laughter echoed from the street. He was only 32, but looked much older, his eyes permanently tired, his hands rough from years of working double shifts at a warehouse after Lily's mother, Emma, fell into depression and illness following the accident and slowly became a shadow of the woman she once was, bedridden more often than not, crying quietly at night so Lily wouldn't hear, though Lily always did. Daniel had sold his car, borrowed money, begged relatives, and even stood humiliated in hospital corridors while rich. Specialists spoke kindly but dismissively, quoting numbers Daniel could never afford and outcomes that offered no hope, and every rejection chipped away at him. Yet every night he knelt beside Lily's bed and whispered promises he wasn't sure he could keep, telling her stories about miracles and strong hearts, telling her she was braver than anyone he knew. And one rainy evening when the electricity flickered and the apartment smelled of damp walls and instant noodles, Lily asked in a soft voice that cut him deeper than any insult, "Daddy, am I broken forever?" And Daniel smiled through tears and said no, though he felt like the world had already decided yes. The next morning he did something that made no sense to anyone. He stopped chasing doctors and started chasing understanding, spending nights reading old medical journals, physical therapy manuals, handwritten notes from obscure forums, watching videos made by parents with no credentials but endless love, learning about neural pathways, muscle memory, patience, and pain. And he began working with Lily himself, not like a professional, but like a father who refused to give up, gently moving her legs every morning, celebrating the smallest twitch like a victory, turning their living room into a therapy space with ropes, cushions, and hope, while Emma watched from the bed, torn between fear and disbelief, until one day Lily screamed in pain and Daniel froze, terrified he had hurt her. But Lily grabbed his hand and said, "It hurts, but it feels like I'm waking up." And that night Emma broke down completely, sobbing into her pillow, overwhelmed by guilt, love, and the sight of a man doing what entire hospitals had dismissed. And as weeks passed, the neighbors noticed sounds they hadn't heard before, counting, encouragement, laughter, and though progress was slow and uncertain, something impossible was happening, something no billionaire doctor had predicted. And if you've ever believed that love can move mountains when money cannot, this is the moment to subscribe, because this story is only beginning, and what happens next will change everything. Months later, Lily still couldn't walk, but she could stand, just for seconds at first, holding on to Daniel's trembling hands while sweat poured down his face and tears streamed down. Emma's, who had forced herself out of bed for the first time in weeks to witness what felt like a miracle unfolding in their broken living room. Word spread quietly, then loudly, and one day a physical therapist knocked on their door, not to offer expensive treatment, but to learn. Stunned by videos Daniel had posted anonymously online, asking for advice. Videos that showed something raw and real, consistency, patience, and a child who trusted her father completely. And when a well-known doctor finally visited out of curiosity, he stood silent as Lily took 3 uneven steps toward her mother, collapsing into Emma's arms as Emma collapsed to the floor in tears, sobbing not from sadness, but from the unbearable weight of hope returning. And the doctor whispered words Daniel would never forget. This shouldn't be possible, yet it was, because no one had factored in the power of a father who refused to quit. Emma began healing too, not just physically, but emotionally, watching Daniel lift. Lily again and again taught her that love didn't leave when things broke. And on Lily's 10th birthday, In a small community hall decorated with cheap balloons, Lily stood up from her wheelchair, without help, and took 5 full steps toward the cake as the room went silent and then exploded into applause, Daniel falling to his knees, Emma screaming through tears, and Lily smiling like a child who had just reclaimed her world. And when reporters later asked Daniel how he did what millionaire doctors couldn't, he answered simply, "I stayed, and today Lily walks, not perfectly, not always easily, but proudly." Emma laughs again, and Daniel still works long hours, but now he tells their story not for praise, but for parents sitting in dark rooms being told to give up. And if you are watching this and feel hopeless, remember this family. Remember that miracles don't always come from money or titles. They come from love that refuses to let go. And if this story moved you even a little, subscribe to the channel, because every subscription helps us share more real stories that remind the world what the human heart is capable of. Time passed slowly, not in days but in painful repetitions of effort, sweat, doubt, and quiet prayers whispered into the cracks of the night. And although Lily still woke up many mornings with legs that refused to obey her, something inside her had changed. Something alive, something hopeful, because her father never stopped showing up, never stopped believing, even when his arms shook from exhaustion and his back ached from lifting her again and again, guiding her, feet across the worn floor, counting each second she stood as if it were a victory against the universe itself. And Emma, who had once turned her face to the wall in silent surrender, now watched every session from a chair near the window, tears soaking her sleeves as she saw the impossible slowly take shape, because Lily's legs were remembering what the world had told them to forget.